The difference between success, huge success, and failure in almost any enterprise is your willingness to do the hard things. Hi, this is Randy Kirk at Small Business Daily. And today we're going to be talking about a very hard subject. We're going to be talking about a willingness on the part of an owner of a small business to do the hard things. As I noted, of course, it's not just about small business. In any enterprise, you could be going out for the track team in high school. You could be working hard as the VP of some company. But we're, of course, in the small business enterprise here on Small Business Daily. So that's what we're going to concentrate on. I have recently, 3 years ago, started something called Masterminds, SoCal Masterminds. And I highly encourage you to get in touch with me about membership in SoCal Masterminds. But SoCal Masterminds is a group of business owners who get together on a monthly basis, usually 6 to 10 in a group, and we discuss how we can help one another to become more successful. And after having attended literally 100 of those meetings over the last 3 or 4 years, I have come to see a very significant thing taking place. The difference between the ones who are making well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, those who are satisfied or seemingly, for whatever reason, are stuck at $60 or $70 or $80,000 a year, and those who aren't even doing that much and who are struggling to take anything home out of their business, the big difference has to do with the willingness on the part of the owner to do the hard things. Now, the hard thing for one person is a different hard thing for another. It's not always going to be the same. For one person, making cold calls may be the hardest thing that they're unwilling to do. For another person, learning how to do the books might be the hard thing. For a third person, it might be learning how to actually do marketing, actual real marketing, as opposed to even the slight part of marketing, which is the advertising. Every business owner has things that are easy for them to do. They don't mind doing them. They're kind of fun. That's why they got into business anyway. And then they got these other things that are like, oh my gosh, if it has math in it, I'm not interested. So what we want to talk today is about what are some of those hard things and how can you possibly overcome dealing with some of these hard things in your business to where you're willing to get out there and actually do them. So I'm also going to make you an offer today. At the end of this program, I'm going to make you an offer, a free offer for something you can get just by dropping me a line. So let's start out. I think the number one hardest thing is for company owners to actually take the time to identify their why, to figure out what it is that they're really passionate about, and then to execute on that. So if you've gone into business for all the wrong reasons, maybe you went into business because you read an article that said that this business right now is a place to make a lot of money today. Like, let's take e-commerce. People are going to e-commerce because they've read that this is a way they can make a lot of money. Maybe it's a get-rich-quick scheme and somebody convinced you that this is going to make you rich. It's not just even a good business. It's going to make you rich, lots and lots of money. Maybe you've decided to go into business because you're taking over your dad's business, your mom's business. Maybe you've been working for somebody for years and they're selling out and they've offered it to you. That's why you're going into business. Maybe you just want to take a skill set or a capability that you have and turn it into a business. The question is, are those good reasons to go into business? Maybe yes, maybe no. But if you're not passionate about the business, if you haven't identified this passion as being a big part of the why that you're going to undertake the business, then you're going to find that on a great many days, you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and you don't have something pushing you, some personal pride or personal inclination, some energy that comes from your heart and from the passion that you have for what you're doing that will get you going in the morning or allow you to crash through barriers that get put in your way in the course of your day. So one thing I highly encourage people to do, and I talk a lot about this in the first 100 pages of When Friday Isn't Payday. So you might want to pick up that book, When Friday Isn't Payday. Look at the first 100 pages. It will help you to identify your why in the world. For instance, my why has been and always apparently will be, I love to see the development of companies, products, and people. Not necessarily in that order. Probably it's the opposite. People, products, and companies. I love to be a part of the raw material of people, products, and companies and help that raw material to become successful. This is what I've done for almost my entire career through writing, through speaking, and through consulting. Now that's what I'm doing through Small Business Daily and through our website, freebusinesshelpnow.com. So that's my why. That's what gets me energized. I could be retired now. I choose not to be retired because I'm passionate about doing that. Would you rather be retired from the business that you're in right now? If you'd rather be retired, I would question whether or not you figured out the why that you're passionate enough about to get up and continue to go, even though you might be of retirement age or getting close. So what is your why? That's a hard thing. It means introspection. It means sitting back. It means some quiet time. It means maybe talking to others about what they see in you. It means maybe taking some personality tests. And ultimately, at some point, you might figure out, oh my gosh, my real why is this. And maybe that's not the business you're in. And maybe that isn't an idea for you to contemplate whether switching businesses might be a good idea. Or if you're not in business yet, figure out your why before you start, okay? It's gonna make your whole life a lot easier, a lot more exciting, and a lot more fun if you're going into the business because you're passionate and love it and can see that your role in it would be purposeful and useful. That's a huge, hard thing. And it's a hard thing that most business owners never do. Number 2 on my list would be communicating with humans. This would be a hard thing for many, many people. Yeah, we can all talk. We can talk to our kids. We can talk to our mom, our dad, our brothers and sisters. You know, we can talk when we go down to the whatever organization you're a part of, the church or the Rotary or whatever. You can talk, okay. But that kind of communication is casual. It's not tied to some kind of a financial result. But when it's tied to a financial result, all of a sudden, sometimes we become much less inclined to do what we need to do in terms of talking to people. So what do I have in mind here? Well, number 1 would be selling. I'll put a couple of links down below, but the very first series of Small Business Daily videos were on how to sell. Not every small business owner loves to sell. I don't know about you. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you could put a comment below about whether you like to sell or not. Rate yourself 1 to 5 on whether you'd like to sell. If you don't like to sell, and if you don't think you're any good at it, please go back and spend an hour watching those first 6 videos that we did. And those are going to help you possibly to become more enthusiastic about selling. So selling is one place where you need to communicate, and the communication is not easy. It's harder. It requires some skill sets. It requires possibly some personality, not changes, but maybe some personality identification in terms of I need to move my personality a little bit in order to be better at this. What's another area of human interaction in terms of communication? Well, that would be with employees. So is it difficult for you to discuss things of importance with your employees? Are you more inclined to send an email than to go have a face-to-face conversation? Do you find it hard to go out and talk to somebody about their mistakes, their failures, the issues that you're having with them in terms of how they're running their department or how they're running their job? How can you become a better communicator with your employees? How can you become better at discussing the difficult things that need to be discussed? Well, there are plenty of methods for that, but let me just suggest one, and that is make that communication regular. Talk to your employees every single day so that you have an ongoing relationship. Talk to them about things outside the office. Become associated. There's a whole argument to be made about whether you become friends with your employees, but at least become associated with them so that they feel as if there's a connection. Also, establish early what your expectations are of them, and find out from them what their expectations are of you. It will, if you guys both understand one another's expectations, it makes it a lot easier to go in and talk about the difficult circumstances that might be interfering with one or another's expectations. If I know that you're hoping to get into a supervisorial position, you're hoping to somehow be increasing your status in the organization, and you're making errors, now I have a better way to come to you and talk to you about the errors, because it's interfering with your hopes and your expectations on the job. If you know that my expectations are that you are at whiz bang at doing this particular job, then it makes it easier for me to come and say, hey, this is the most important thing you do for me. We both agree, right? Then it makes it easier to have that conversation. But in general, you may just want to read, take a look at some articles, take a look at some YouTube videos on how to better communicate with your employees. There's tons of stuff out there, but it's a hard thing. Just the identification of the fact that it's difficult for you is going to help you to start overcoming the problem. But if you don't overcome it, then it's going to definitely stand in the way of your success in small business. A third hard thing, and this comes up all the time in our mastermind meetings, is I don't know how to delegate. And this is a huge one. It just comes up all the time. I'm better at it than anybody that works for me. How can I delegate it? I can do it. I can do it in 15 minutes. It'll take me 10 minutes to explain to somebody else how to do it. All these excuses about delegation. Well, I ran into a meme a while back ago. In fact, I did a whole YouTube video on this as well a couple of weeks back, which the meme said, if you don't have an assistant, then you are an assistant. Well, you can take that a step forward. Even if you employ multiple assistants, if you're not delegating your easy jobs or the jobs that they can do to those assistants, then you are essentially an assistant. You are doing work that you are much too highly paid for, or at least worth, rather than handing that job off to somebody who is paid appropriately for that kind of work. So delegation is a very difficult one. How do you learn how to delegate? I personally have no problem with delegating because I hate to do lots and lots of tasks. So if I hate the task, I'm going to delegate it. So that's my first recommendation to you. If you hate the task, delegate it. Number two is, I have lots and lots of things that are higher value, and my list is usually full. So if I can't get to those higher value things, that's probably because I'm not delegating to my assistants. So think about those higher value tasks and how important they would be to the business to give those jobs away. Number three is, I recognize that almost anything that I do well, I can only expect my subordinates to do 70% as well as I do. So it's just kind of a mental recognition that they're only going to do it 70% as well. And if that's okay, I can train them. I can retrain them if necessary to get better, but I just accept the fact it's only going to be 70% as well as I might have done it. That helps me to delegate because then I have that understanding. So delegation of responsibilities, delegation of jobs is a very hard thing to do. Let's step it up a notch. Sometimes you need to delegate authority. That is much harder. Now, typically, delegation of authority doesn't start happening until you have 15, 20, 25, maybe even more employees. Up until that point, you're only delegating jobs, delegating responsibilities. You are still the authority. You're still making the final decision. They're going to come to you when there's a very difficult decision to make. Now, a good owner, a good boss will give people as much authority as they possibly can, but they haven't given them ultimate authority. They've just given them some authority to make those decisions so that they can become better and better at handling things. But there's a point at which you're going to be hiring top managers, and now you need to give away authority over departments. And in this case, you really are giving away authority. This is much harder than than delegating tasks. But let me start with one fact that might help you to delegate authority easier. If you have a company that has 15, 20, 25 employees, and you've hired these top managers and you don't give away the authority, you are destined for failure. let's make it simple. I've seen it over and over again. Company owners who don't give away authority at those levels and higher levels, the company's not going to make it. Those top managers are not going to stay. They are attuned in their mind. They recognize they should have the authority to make some of these decisions and to be able to hire, fire, make decisions about salary increases, et cetera, without you being involved on a micromanaging level. Number two is if you don't give away that authority, you're going to be run ragged because you're going to be under the situation where people are just going to be coming in your office all the time saying, how do I do this? What do I do about that? You can't possibly handle all that. You have to be able to delegate that authority or you'll go crazy. You won't be able to do your job. It's not that different than delegating responsibilities, but it is a different, higher level of delegation and harder to do. Admittedly, harder to do. That's why we call it doing the hard things. So delegating authority is another hard thing that people are not inclined to do. I'm going to wrap it up today with this one, and that is learning how to do marketing. Most people think of marketing as advertising. They think that advertising is marketing and vice versa. It's an equal thing. They're not at all. But I find that many small business owners don't like to do either one. They don't like to do advertising, and they don't know what is the larger issue of marketing. They don't recognize that marketing is up here. Advertising is just one part of marketing. So they haven't studied it. They haven't read a book on it. They haven't analyzed it. They don't have any marketing resources coming into their company to help them. They just go along their merry way with bad marketing. So let's quickly identify the definition of marketing. So marketing is pretty much everything the business does. That might be one way to identify marketing. So when you're starting a business, you decide what the business is going to do, the business they're in. You identify where it's going to be located. You identify what products and services it's going to sell. You identify the pricing for those services. You identify the resources that you can get in order to do those products and services, and you find out what the costs are associated with those. That allows you to establish margins. Now you identify the ways that you're going to get to the marketplace. Are you going to hire salespeople? Are you going to hire sales reps? Are you going to do passive kinds of online activity that's going to bring the business in? Outbound marketing, they call it. What are the methods that you're going to get people to come in the door? Are you a retailer and you need signage and you need a great window? You need a grand opening. What are the methods that you're going to use in order to get people to come to your business once you start it? Every one of those things is marketing, okay? And most people don't study those things. It's like, oh, I need a location. You go hire a local realtor who shows you a few locations, or you drive up and down the retail area and you see an empty store and you find out that the rent's okay and you take it. That's not marketing. Marketing is, what is the traffic that goes by that location? How is the signage possibilities? What are the rules in that city or on that street with regard to signage? Is there parking around that's accessible for the customers, or is parking a difficulty? What are the neighbors like? What is the neighborhood like? Is there going to be a lot of transient people, homeless people that are going to be camped out behind the store? Are there a lot of thefts in this area? Is this an area that's affluent enough for the products that I care? That's marketing, okay? And it's the rare company, the rare new business, the rare business that's been in business for years, opening a second location, that goes to the trouble to read up on the marketing aspects of how to select a location, much less the marketing aspects of how to reach out to clients and prospects in the current environment, because the environment's always changing, of course. So marketing becomes another one of those hard things. I'm going to stop for today, but I promised you a free gift. I'm going to do that. You're going to get this free gift. First of all, if you liked what we talked about today, would you push the like button and then subscribe if you'd like more? And then finally, the notify button if you'd like to be notified of tomorrow's program or next week's program, because we're always talking about small business issues. And we will continue this conversation tomorrow. We're going to talk about more hard things tomorrow. I don't know if you want to talk about hard things or not, but let's face it, part of business is identifying the hard things and then doing something about them. And that, believe me, is going to help you to achieve a lot more in a short period of time if you're identifying and dealing with the hard things. So what am I going to do as far as a gift? Well, I've written half a book. I know, I'm going to be giving you half a book. Well, I think it's 32 hard things. I don't remember right now, but roughly speaking, I think I identify 32 hard things and give you some recommendations of how to overcome them. And I think it's 50 or 60 pages long. So it's a book. It's just not, I don't consider it a book unless it's a couple hundred pages. So I'm going to give you a free copy of this book in the draft status that it is now. You might find an error or two. But anyway, I don't know if you consider that a great gift or not, but believe me, there's great content in this book, because if you can pick up 1, 2, 3 of the hard things that are hard for you and then identify the ways to overcome those hard things, it's going to help your business. Believe me, you. So this is Randy Kirk. Come back for more hard things tomorrow on Small Business Daily. See you then.